April 1945. A U.S. Army convoy rolls into a forest near Nordhausen, Germany. The war is almost over. Behind a hidden tunnel entrance, they find something the world has never seen before. Rockets. 46 feet tall. Sleek. Black and white. Engines designed to push them past the edge of the sky. The Nazis built them. The Nazis used them to kill 9,000 people in London. And now in 1945, those rockets are sitting in an American depot. Here's the part nobody talks about. In 12 years, the same engineers who built these rockets will build America's first intercontinental ballistic missile. The same brain that designed Hitler's terror weapon will design the Saturn V, the rocket that puts Neil Armstrong on the moon. The same equation that killed civilians in London will launch the warhead aimed at Soviet cities. The history of every American nuke, of NASA, of the Cold War. It all starts in a forest in 1945. This is the story of 7 American rockets. Each one is a son of the V-2. 7 generations, 1 bloodline. Let's go. First, the man you have to know. Wernher von Braun, born 1912, German aristocrat, SS officer, slave labor user, direct subordinate of Heinrich Himmler, card-carrying Nazi. He is also the most talented rocket engineer who has ever lived. In 1944, he builds the Aggregate 4, what propaganda calls the V-2. Vengeance Weapon 2, the first object made by human hands to cross into outer space. It carries a 1-ton warhead. It travels faster than the speed of sound. There is no defense against it. Air raid sirens are useless, because by the time you hear them, it has already hit. 3,000 of them launch at London, Antwerp, Paris. 9,000 civilians die. 12,000 concentration camp prisoners die building them. The V-2 program kills more people in production than in combat. May 1945. Hitler is dead. Von Braun and 117 of his top engineers walk out of the Alps with their hands up and surrender to a single American GI. They have a plan. They have already buried 14 tons of V-2 blueprints under a barn in Bavaria. They do not surrender to the Soviets. They do not surrender to the British. They wait specifically for the Americans. And the Americans agree to a deal nobody in the public will hear about for 20 years. It is called Operation Paperclip. 1,600 Nazi scientists are smuggled into the United States. Their records are sanitized. Their war crimes literally deleted from their files with a paperclip. This is how it begins. The original, the seed, the Aggregate 4, designated V-2 by Nazi propaganda. 46 feet tall, 27,000 pounds. Liquid oxygen and ethanol engine producing 55,000 pounds of thrust. Range, 200 miles. Apogee, 55 miles above Earth. Well into space. Here's the crazy part. To make liquid oxygen, you need huge industrial freezing plants. The Nazis built one inside the underground tunnels at Mittelberg. 12,000 concentration camp prisoners from Mittelbau-Dora were worked to death making these rockets. The death toll of building V-2s exceeded the death toll of using them. The guidance system is mechanical. Gyroscopes, inertial reference, analog. There is no GPS, no computer, no chip. It hits its target by literally calculating with springs and gears. After Germany falls, the U.S. Army captures 300 V-2 rockets and ships them to White Sands, New Mexico. From 1946 to 1952, America fires 67 of them. Some carry mice and monkeys. Some carry cameras that take the first photographs of Earth from space. One launches a Yagi antenna. One detonates by accident 2 miles over Juarez, Mexico, and the Mexican government almost declares war. Every time White Sands fires a V-2, the engineers running the show are the same Germans who built it for Hitler. They have temporary U.S. passports. They are paid in dollars. They are housed at Fort Bliss, Texas, on a base nicknamed by the locals Little Berlin. Pause here. Let that land. In the desert of New Mexico, 2 years after the Holocaust, Wernher von Braun is firing V-2s under the American flag. The first American attempt to copy the V-2. The Hermes program is launched in 1944, before the war even ends. The plan: General Electric will reverse engineer the V-2 and turn it into the first U.S. ballistic missile. They get the German engineers, they get the blueprints, they get the captured rockets. The result is a mess. Hermes A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, each is basically a V-2 with different American instrumentation bolted on. None of them work reliably. The Americans cannot match the German manufacturing quality. They cannot match the engineering team. The V-2 was the product of 15 years of secret Nazi rocketry research. The U.S. is trying to crash course it in 5. Hermes does one thing, and one thing well. It teaches America that you cannot just steal a rocket. You have to build the team that built it. The Hermes program is quietly killed in 1954. Officially, it produced 0 combat-ready weapons. Unofficially, it does something far more important. It gets the German engineers their American security clearances. It buys them 10 years of paid work, and during those 10 years, they teach a generation of American engineers how to think in liquid oxygen and high-altitude trajectories. Quick question: should America have done this deal? Drop your answer below. Von Braun's first true American design. By 1950, the Paperclip team is moved from Fort Bliss to a sleepy Alabama town called Huntsville. The Army stands up the Redstone arsenal. Von Braun is named technical director. He has 117 of his original German engineers, a U.S. Army budget, and orders to build a working short-range ballistic missile. In 3 years, he does it. The LGM-11 Redstone, 69 feet tall, 60,000 pounds. Range, 175 miles. Payload, a nuclear warhead. It is, in every meaningful technical sense, a slightly larger and slightly more reliable V-2 with an American flag painted on it. The engines, the guidance, the propellant chemistry, all evolutionary, not revolutionary. The Redstone enters service in 1958 and is forward deployed to West Germany. Yes, you heard that right. The first American nuclear missile to be deployed in Europe was based on a German design, built by Germans and pointed back at Germans. Redstone fires 36 successful flights. It is the first American missile to test a real live nuclear warhead. Operation Hardtack, 1958, at Johnston Atoll. It is the first American rocket to put a chimpanzee in space. Ham, 1961. And it is the first American rocket to put a human in space. Alan Shepard, May 5, 1961. Pause here. The rocket that put the first American in space is a V-2, the longer-range cousin. Jupiter is what happens when the Army says to Von Braun, "Take Redstone, give it more range." So he does. Jupiter is 60 feet tall, 110,000 pounds, range 500 miles. Intermediate Range Ballistic Missile, IRBM, the first IRBM in U.S. service. But Jupiter's real story is the variant called Jupiter C, October 4, 1957. The Soviets launch Sputnik, the first artificial satellite. The Cold War psychology breaks. The American public believes the Russians can drop nuclear warheads from orbit. Eisenhower needs a response, and he needs it now. The Navy has a project called Vanguard. It is supposed to launch America's first satellite. It explodes on the launch pad on December 6, 1957, on live television. The world laughs. Newspapers call it Kaputnik. Eisenhower turns to Von Braun. Von Braun has been begging for permission to launch a satellite for 3 years. He has the Jupiter C ready and waiting. The Army has been blocked because of inter-service rivalry. The Navy was supposed to get satellites first, not the Army. January 30, 1958, Jupiter C launches Explorer 1, America's first satellite. The German engineer at the Pentagon press conference looks at the camera and says, "We knew it would work." The man who said it was a Nazi rocket engineer. The country knew. The country did not mention it. The first true American ICBM. Here's the twist. Atlas was not a Von Braun project. Atlas was Convair, civilian engineers in San Diego. No Germans on the team. American only. And Atlas was a leap. The V-2 weighed 27,000 pounds and went 200 miles. The Redstone weighed 60,000 and went 175 miles. The Atlas weighed 270,000 pounds and went 9,000 miles. From California to Moscow, coast to coast on planet Earth. Atlas does something nobody had done before. It uses a stage-and-a-half design. The fuel tanks are so thin they cannot stand up on their own. They have to be pressurized like a soda can or they collapse. The skin is stainless steel, only 0.004 of an inch thick. Atlas enters service in 1959. It carries a 1 megaton thermonuclear warhead. 1 megaton is 66 times the power of the bomb that destroyed Hiroshima. At one point, there are 129 Atlas missiles deployed in underground silos across the western United States. Atlas also launches John Glenn into orbit in 1962, the first American to circle the Earth. Here's the thing. By the time Atlas is deployed, the von Braun Germans have been working in America for 14 years. They are no longer special. They are the establishment. The next generation of American engineers learned everything from them. There is no longer a clean line between German rocketry and American rocketry. It is all one tradition now. Bigger, heavier, 2 stages from the start. The Titan, I was supposed to be a backup to Atlas in case Atlas failed. Atlas did not fail. So Titan, I became something else. A heavyweight that could carry a 4-megaton warhead in a hardened underground silo. Titan II replaces it in 1963. Titan II is the largest American ICBM ever to enter service, 103 feet tall, 330,000 pounds. Range, 9,300 miles. The warhead is a single W-53 thermonuclear weapon, yielding 9 megatons, 600 times the power of Hiroshima. In one shot. Titan II also has a nightmare problem: the propellant. Atlas burned liquid oxygen and kerosene. You cannot keep liquid oxygen in a tank for very long. It boils off. So Atlas had to be fueled right before launch, which took 15 minutes. In a nuclear exchange, 15 minutes is forever. Titan II burns hypergolic propellants. They ignite on contact with each other. You can leave them in the tank for years. Launch time, 58 seconds. The downside, hypergolic propellants are violently toxic. In 1965, a fuel leak at a Titan II silo in Searcy, Arkansas, kills 53 workers. In 1980, a dropped wrench punctures a fuel tank at a silo in Damascus, Arkansas, and the 9-megaton warhead is blown 600 feet through the air. It lands in a ditch. It does not detonate. The continental United States was one wrench away from a nuclear explosion in its own south.